We got the homie Herb Howard from the Bigs, man. What's going on, bro?
What's good with y'all, man? What's good? Sorry I'm late popping in, man. It's been a
It's all
day.
good,
Actually,
man.
it's been a week, but I apologize, man.
No,
All
you
good,
good?
brother, man. Good to have you on, man. We were just in the
It's a
middle
pleasure.
of the Caleb conundrum, as I like to call it. We doing full content mode right now. Are you concerned about well, not really concerned, because as a nigga like me who don't really care if Caleb comes here or not,
Right.
the delay on, not the day, but the deadline for for college athletes to declare is Monday. We haven't heard
Right.
anything from Caleb Williams yet. Is there anything that you feel like something might be afoot, or he's just drawing this whole thing out?
Um, so it's a two-part for me because I'm like you. I don't care if he come or not. I rather he go somewhere else. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, I'm cool. I'm cool with our quarterback. I think that's the fastest route for them to get to the Super Bowl. But that's a different conversation. So part one is I don't care if he come here or not. But part two is one of the things I worry about with him is his demeanor, his temperament, right? We've seen him decline to talk to the media. We've seen him, cry publicly in the stands with his mom, which is cool, but take it up the tunnel. You know what I mean? It's
Mental
cool.
health
You know what I'm saying?
matters. Mental
No,
health
no,
Yeah.
matters.
Black mental health
Mental health
matters.
matters.
According to Barbershop Network, Black mental health matters.
Hey, just take it up the tunnel or something. But so for this thing to be happening now, it's just another thing to say this dude is really on some. He really a different kind of dude, and I don't know that's Chicago shit. I don't know if that's gonna fly in Chicago. You're not gonna come here, have a bad game, and tell us you ain't coming to talk to us. You out your damn mind. You're not gonna come here and bug out. The whole city would be on your heels. So it's like I don't know that when you look at some of the things he's done, he has the right temperament and demeanor for this city. Now you can that can fly, in college at SoCal, but like not for real. So, it's just another thing that's like, what's to this dude? You know what I'm saying? Is he gonna try to hijack the draft like Eli Manning or something? You ain't a Manning, my boy.
Pick
Um,
the man and Eli Payton. Which one?
you know what I'm saying? You ain't like that. So it's a concern in that it's just another thing that makes me wonder about him as a person, but not so much of a concern in like, oh, we might not be getting him because I don't really care if we do or not.
Well, here's the question I got for you, man. You were at Halas Hall on Wednesday. Very hectic day going on there. Of course, by the way, great questions. We were talking about that in the group chat. We was like, man, Herb got polls on defense right now. Like
You had bro on his heels, G,
yeah, Paul
the
was up
whole
there
time.
stuttering like
Paul was
Ron
like,
Harper. I was like,
Not like Ron Harper.
he started like Ron Harper. I'm like, all right. He got him on the fence.
Nah,
So
man.
tell me,
I
like,
appreciate that. It's just be stuff we need to know.
yeah, man. Always, man. You always ask great questions, bro. Tell me, what was it like? What was the vibe there at Halas, and what was your opinion? What you got from the press conference?
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting week, man. I thought that the delay in scheduling the press conference was kind of like a bit of a concern. Like, okay, are they, thinking about going another way? Because, last year if they're gonna fire you, they do it on a Monday, and then that end of season press conferences on Tuesday. At the very least, they will already have scheduled it for Wednesday. So for all that radio silence that was coming from Halas Hall, following that Packers game, it was kind of like maybe they kicking the tires on this Jim Harbaugh thing to see if they can pull that off before they run Matt Eberflus back out here as the next coach. And so all of those were concerns for me, legitimately, up until they fired Lou Getsy. And so then they fired Lou Getsy. It's like, okay, they took a little bit of time to tell us exactly when the press conference was going to be. After they said they fired him, they sent that email out. You get up to Halas Hall, and it's like, okay, what's going to be the reasoning? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why did Ryan Post feel like the problems and the solutions to said problems only rose as high as the OC and not to the head coach? And how are they going to go about filling that OC position without declaring their quarterback? So there was just a lot of questions that needed to be answered. And I think coming into that day, there was no way they could quote unquote win the press conference. Right? We always talk about whether a coach or a player won the press conference or not. And usually it's pretty easy to do that, especially on some introductory stuff. But in this position that they were in, there was no way they were going to win the press conference. But I also don't think they necessarily lost it. I thought they did the best they could in terms of finding that middle ground and dancing around certain issues and certain questions, especially when it came to how they're going to go about filling the OC and what they're going to do at quarterback. So I thought it was a bit of a mixed bag for them. Definitely a very intriguing day. I thought they tiptoed the line as best they could. but it's still a lot up in the air.
I will say this real quick, Dante, before we get through this. Have y'all talked about McAfee yet? He will be my Goofy Mog of the week. Him and Mr. Rogers. And it pains me because I love Pat. I don't want to do this, but the name of the show is I'm Not Gonna Hold You, and he was doing some goofy shit this week. So yes, we'll talk about him towards the end of the show. Go to you, Dante.
Yeah, but like we said, bro, you asked some great questions during the press conference, and one question you asked that polls didn't really answer like directly was when you said, well, last season you identified X amount of holes on the team. This season, this season going into the offseason, how many holes do you see? Now, for you as somebody who's been in the building, you've been around the team all season, how many holes do you see on this football team?
Yeah, that's one I've been kicking myself about since that press conference. I pride myself on being able to ask the question in a way that lends itself towards getting an answer. And I didn't set that question up ideally to get the answer. Not that I was looking for a particular answer, but to get an answer. I answered it in a way that gave him an out. But anyway, for me, I look at it, I don't see that many holes on this team right now. I really don't. I didn't disagree with him when he told me last year 75% to 80% of the holes on this roster have been filled coming into the 23 season. Now, he said, we had to evaluate, some of those moves and see how the Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards thing worked out. I think that worked out pretty well, especially in the case of TJ Edwards. I think the rookie draft class came out and performed pretty well. Darnell Wright gave you 17 starts as a rookie right tackle. Tyreek Stevenson had himself a pretty good year and got better as it went along. Javon Dexter came on late. So I thought, as a rookie class, those guys performed pretty well. And so I thought he was right in the right area, 75 to 80%. And now you look at it, and I don't see that many holes. I really, really don't. They need another wide receiver. Specifically, they need Marvin Harrison Jr. They don't need just another dude. They need an absolute monster at that spot. So now you have two monsters at that spot. And I think that if you can get Marvin Harrison Jr., I've said this before, but maybe not his rookie year, but by his second year, I think he's the Bears' best wide receiver, and DJ Moore is your second best receiver. And now you got a nasty receiving core. You're still going to have Cole in the middle of his contract extension. So I look at wide receiver as one of those holes. Center is a huge hole. They got to get a legitimate NFL center, not trying to plug and play some guys that's usually playing guard or usually playing backup or usually you need a legitimate NFL center. Now, whether you get that in the draft, it's okay as long as you get a real one, right? They passed on two real centers in the draft. Last year, they chose to go another direction. Not mad at that. I already said I like the rookie class, but you can't do that again this year. If it's a center you identify in the draft, he's been able to come in, plug and play from day one. You got to pull the trigger on that dude, second round, early third round, whatever it may be. And I know they don't have a second right now, but they end up getting one. Or you get one in free agency. You gotta have a proven center, somebody that you're real confident in going into the season at that center spot. So that's huge for me. And then other than that, I think they got to add to that defensive line. So you get somebody that's another proven pass rusher opposite Montez, and that should, increase the pass rush rate and increase some of these and keep up with some of these turnovers. And they still need a dominant three tech. I asked Luce about that on Wednesday. That three technique position everybody knows is the engine of his defense. He calls it the engine of his defense. But you talk about Warren Sapp and Tommy Harris, you need a stud, not just a dude. You need an absolute stud to play that spot. And Justin Jones, no disrespect, ain't that. You know what I mean? He's okay, and he got better. He was more productive once Montez came, and Justin Jones said, well, yeah, I can get to the pass rush. I can get to the passer if I'm not being double teamed. Well, that's cool and all, but that position requires a dude who can get there even when he's being double teamed. Warren Sapp got double teamed every damn snap of his life. You know what I'm saying? You still got to get the thing done. I'm not necessarily saying you got to get a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's only been 5 of those at D tackle in the history of the league, but you got to get a dude who can impact that pocket every single snap and get some penetration from the interior of that defensive line. So those are the things I see, man. Wide receiver, center, DM, and that three tech. And you just figure out what you're going to do at free safety as it pertains to Bojack. Do you bring him back? Do you restructure? Or can you find another guy that can be a game-changing safety either in the draft or free agency?
All right, this offensive coordinator situation is going to be a topic until we find one. But then when you also think about it, you got to find a whole new offensive staff. You need to find a new wide receivers coach, running backs coach. You also got to find you pretty much got to redo this whole thing. So my question to you is,
they only got a tight ends coach and an O-line coach.
and an O-line coach, and that's pretty much it. So my question to you is that considering that there's been no word that they've put an extra year on Flus's contract to make this position look attractive to anybody not possibly coming into a lame duck situation, just in case shit go left for the Bears and you got to go ahead and make a change. Right. How attractive is this job with that as the current situation, and who would you love to see take over the reins for this offense?
Yeah, I think that's a legitimate concern for them as they go throughout this process. Can you attract the top candidates in this situation when one, you can't identify who the quarterback is. So even as you go through the process of interviewing these potential OCs, you can't tip your hand that we bringing Justin back, and you can't tip your hand that we drafting Caleb, because then that impacts your leverage in terms of trade value for either of those spots, the number one pick or Justin. So you can't even tip their hand because you had these conversations, then you don't hire that guy, then he out here telling all your state secrets. So you have to go through this process without really identifying to that coordinator who his quarterback is going to be, at least until you decide which one it is. And so that's a tricky situation, man, to say I want to come into that. Me personally, I prefer football coaches who are able to devise their game plan and set up their scheme around the talent that they have, right? Based on the roster that you have, that's what you run. I don't like guys are like, oh, this is my system, this is all we can do. Man, knock it off, right? If the game plan or your roster dictates that you run the ball 40 times a game, then you run the ball 40 times a game. You got a roster that dictates we throw it 40, we throw it 40. Like, a good football coach, the best football coaches are able to do both. And instead of trying to plug these round these square pegs into these round holes, like that's not what you want to do. And so I think when you look at Justin, I think that's what you happen to have with a lot of not only coaches, but a lot of this outside public opinion. It's like, oh, he's this, he's that. Football's supposed to like this. Football ain't supposed to like shit. It's supposed to like football. And there's a lot of ways to win a football game. You can win it with 300 yards passing.
The Bears make it. Like that shit.
Oh my god!
Like rocket science. How many times we've been in the press box, G, and we be like, it's not this hard.
it's not that hard, bro. Like it's just not that hard. So for me, I want a proven play call at the NFL level. I look at Eric Bieniemy. It's still mind blowing to me that he hasn't had a shot to be a head coach yet, especially considering Ryan Poles got his GM job and then didn't really consider him here, and he had a lateral move to Washington to be their OC. It's like, well, he could have came over here to be the OC. You know what I mean? So Eric Bieniemy is still a guy that's near the top of my list. Frank Reich makes a lot of sense just because of his history with Flus. He did have some good offenses in Indy, and Greg Roman, who's not even in the league right now, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's had production with dual threat quarterbacks.
With Justin, because that's the name that Bang has brought up a lot, and I thought to me that makes more sense. If like you're going with a Drake May, I don't know if his system really works for like a Caleb or a Flus or Justin. You think he can still run with how they played football?
I feel that, but I think that Frank Reich has been in enough systems and been around enough quarterbacks that he can tailor it to different ways. I mean, he was in Philly when they had dual threats with like Carson Wentz. He can move a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he came from that tree, and I think that he's been in the league and been around the game long enough that I'm confident that he could devise a game plan to utilize a skill set like Justin's. And so, but as much as anything, his connection to Flus just makes me keep him near the top of the list in terms of guys that may end up here. You hear about all these other guys and Kingsbury and Kubiak and all these other guys. That may be legit. But for me, I want somebody who's done it at this level already and is proven and has the capability to devise a scheme that is equally fit for Justin or for Caleb or Drake May or whomever.
And so real quick, and those two coaches that you named is probably not going to run off to be a head coach the next year after that. And I think that's something that with Flus, you want somebody that's probably going to be there instead of trying to go through this whole process again the next year if you're successful as an offensive coordinator.
You know what, Bang? I know a lot of people have expressed that concern. I don't have it, and I think it's a good problem. Like if somebody hire your OC to be the head coach, that means you just had a hell of a year on offense. And I ain't seen one of those around here. I don't know if y'all seen one. We had a little bit of one with Mark Trestman in like 2013. But like I'll
Our
be
best
perfectly
offensive
fine.
coordinator was Ron Turner, fam. Like that was our best offensive. When
You
you think
feel me?
about it, our best offensive
And that's
coordinator was
wild.
Ron fucking Turner. That's wild.
And that's very wild. So I would love to get to the day where our OC goes on to become a head coach. I know Adam Gase went to Miami and got that job after a decent run with Cuddy and Alshon and B. Marshall and them. But like, that's not something I'm really worried about right now, because that'll be,
It's a
like
good
Marlo
problem.
say, one of them
Yeah.
good problems.
Here's
Yeah.
a question I got for you, G. I think this is something obviously which Bears Twitter is not gonna last April 25th. I said that this morning. It's just not. It ain't even been a week yet, and motherfuckers is losing their damn mind. What did you feel that Ryan Poles what his press conference meant for Justin Fields? Because I feel like I go back and forth with it. I feel like he did a good job of keeping the door cracked of maybe bringing Justin back, but also keeping open for Caleb. If I'm pretty sure like all our opinions going to change week by week with new information we get. But as of today, Friday, January 12th, what is your opinion on whether you think they're going to keep Justin or go move away from him?
So I'll answer that first, but I think that I'm leaning towards they're probably going to move on. I was of the mind that Justin and Luke Getsy would be married, right? So I thought both of them would stay or both of them would go, because I didn't think that they would want to get Justin a new OC, a third offense in 4 years. So I'm leaning towards that they probably will let him go. But I really like Ryan Poles, man. I like how he handles a lot of these situations. I thought he was pretty damn good at both selling to the rest of the league, I will take Caleb Williams in a heartbeat, but also saying I'm perfectly cool with JF1. And if you want him, come. If you want this pick, come get it. If you want Justin, come get it. Right? He for sale. This pick for sale. What's up? So I like the way he was able to articulate both sides of that. Both of those possibilities. I thought he did it pretty well. So I've liked much of what Ryan Poles does, and I thought this press conference was another example of that. There were some things that he in a pinch on some shit, and he was caught up on some of the stuff. But for the most part, I thought he did a good job at selling the number one pick and selling Justin.
So what's your overall, of course you said you love Ryan Poles. I asked the question all this week on the show. What's your confidence level in Ryan Poles? I feel like mine kind of has been bouncing back and forth, but right now I'm at peace. Right now, as a Bears fan, as a Bears fan, I'm at peace with every decision he wants, because I feel like it can go either way. Like, you can bring a new OC in here, and maybe Justin's doing the same things that he's done, like maybe holding on to the ball too long or things like that. Or there's no situation in this that would surprise me. So whoever Poles feels like is the right one, I'm rolling him. What's your confidence level that no matter who the quarterback is, that he can nail it and get the right guy?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess I'm pretty confident in him because, like I said, I like the things that he has done. But I'm at peace like you because, first of all, I'm real control what you can control. And I'm not going to be up in arms every single day about this shit when I have no control of it. That dude going to make his decision. And once he makes his decision, I'll evaluate it and discuss it from there. Like I said, I think he's leaning towards moving on. If he stays, I would love that. I think that's the best thing for the Bears. I think this thing gets caught up so much and is Caleb better than Justin? And you can have that conversation if you want, but I think the conversation is much bigger than that, right? It's not, is Caleb better than Justin only? It is, are the Bears closer to a Super Bowl with Justin, DJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., and accumulating some more draft picks, or are they closer with Caleb and DJ? And I think they're closer with Justin and in that other scenario. So, I'm at peace with whatever he does. I think he'll be thorough in his, process, and then he won't be afraid to make a decision that he's convinced of, and then we'll just see, right? Whatever decision he makes, I'm going to root for it. Like, it ain't going to be like Kevin's going to get here and I'm going to hope he does bad. I'm going to hope he wins Rookie of the Year. And you know what I mean? Like,
that's a big point too. I've been trying to tell you, you're not going to stop rooting for the Bears, okay? If you want to talk about like bad situations, this is the best situation they've been in. You're going to have a good chance either way next year. We are 5 minutes away from Cousin Dan Fridays. Who knows what ridiculous shit my cousin got to say on here, because we ain't had this nigga on about a month. So preview. But so I got one question for you, G, before we get you up out of here. We had you on here week one, right before the first Green Bay, and you said that I'm not picking them against Green Bay until they actually beat them. And first we were like, oh, come on, man, pull in. But 20 weeks later, You are correct. As we saw them get outclassed again. What's your overall opinion on just how the season general went? Of course, you had 4 more wins than last year, but it was a bumpy road. You know what I'm saying? We were at the facility and at the games. Like it was. I remember that practice where people were talking about, this FBI presence at Halas Hall, and what did Allen Williams do? Is so and so gonna get fired? What's just your overall take on the overall season as we head into this offseason?
It's a wild ride, man. Going back to week 18 of 2022 season when they secured the #1 pick after their season was over. You know what I'm saying? We was all standing in the press box watching that Houston Texans game on the TV like, yo, this is crazy. And they got the #1 pick. And so everything after that was wild. And then the season started and you open up with Green Bay. It's like, the Bears can, take the North and never give it back. And Green Bay's like, knock it the fuck off. We still own this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
knock it off.
It's like, and then after that, it was just bad. You go down to Tampa, you get smoked by Tampa down there. You go to Kansas City, kind of, because y'all didn't even show up to Kansas City. Then you come home, you go up a dub on Denver and let them come take it back from you. I thought it was over then. Like at week 4, I wouldn't have had no problem with Ryan Poles coming into that post-game press conference like, yeah, buddy not coming in here. He's been relieved of his duties immediately. To his credit, he didn't. Flus was able to get that thing turned around. The defense started playing better. The players never stopped believing in his messages. They continue to buy into what he's preaching. So I thought they got it back on. But I think it's still a very disappointing season because they ended at 7-10, and they would have to try real, real hard to lose those 3 games again. You talk about Denver, Detroit, and Cleveland. Like that, so
99% chance of winning all 3.
It's not far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
It's not far-fetched at all to say this should have been a 10-7 team and not a 7-10 team. And so that's what makes it disappointing because now the conversation is different. I don't know that you're talking about running out your 10-7 quarterback. You know what I mean? I don't know that you're talking about making all these changes at coordinator and head coach. And so it's a different situation, man. They let those things get away, and it's cost some people their jobs already, and it may cost Justin his tenure here in Chicago. So I would say disappointing. They came in right around the win total. I think most people were between 7 and 9 wins for them. So they came in that range. But the fact they let 3 get away makes it a little bit tougher to digest than it should be. So I would say as expected, but when you had those 3 stains, it's tough to accept.
One last question. I just thought about this. Bunk suit, Kevin Warren. What did you think about his press conference, man? Because to me, I understand how he got the job. I was like, this is some TED Talk shit. Like I got it. What did you think about the presser? Because I tuned out the last 15 minutes. I didn't know what the fuck you was talking about after
that. I text somebody in the Bears organization during his opening. And I said, this motherfucker, respectfully, this motherfucker is presidential as hell. Like, he had me charged up in the room, like, yo, this dude, like, his opening was like, what? Like, go win the Super Bowl right now. Like, it's cracking. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got that kind of energy. After his opening, then you just remember how long-winded he is. Like, he is long-winded as hell. You be like, yo, Mr. Warren, how's the weather outside today? Well, listen, the weather's kind of crazy. And like 15 minutes later, it's like, it's 40 degrees. Hey, man, like, you know what I'm saying? So he's super, super long-winded. That press conference was very long. He tries to be very thorough. He's very respectful in his answers. I like to do it a lot, but he definitely more proper Joe than Marlo. You know what I mean?
Wonderful.
Okay. For conversation.
Okay.
Shout out to B Dot in the chat. He said Tay is one drink away from sound like Nora. For those of you who don't know, Dante is in Vegas on our gas. You didn't, but before you came in, he had somebody interrupted the show. They had to clean out his mini bar.
No, that's not what happened, bro. You ain't got to put extras on it. I just didn't hear her knocking at the door, bro. That's all.
Allegedly, man.
Ain't no telling who might be coming in the room in Vegas, man.
Right, exactly. Exactly, man. But Herb, man, always great to talk to you, G, man. Let the people know where they can get in tune with you, everything you got going on, man.
Most definitely, man. It's always a pleasure to hop on with y'all again. I'm sorry I popped in late. Hopefully y'all invite me back sometime throughout the offseason. We can chop it up. But you can definitely follow me on Twitter at HerbHoward411. You can follow my work at It's The Bigs. TheBigs.us is where you can find some of my columns, some of my interviews. We got good interviews throughout the season with Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson, all of those guys. So Again, appreciate y'all having me on, man. It's gonna be another entertaining offseason. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not engaging in that shit every day, though. I'm not doing that every day. I put it on Twitter today. Like I am not doing this with y'all every single day, man.
Braggs is going to try to draw you into it. We all know Braggs is going to try to bring you into the conversation, man. But definitely, bro, we definitely will have you back on. It's going to be a crazy next couple months up here in the stratosphere with the Bears, man. So thank you, bro, for joining us, man, and enjoy your weekend, brother.
Salute to y'all, man. Most definitely, y'all too.
Paper on this player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna